So before we start the meeting officially, I have the great pleasure in introducing the Reverend, pardon? Yeah, Matthew, yeah. I was going to say Matt, but it was a bit... Matthew, yeah. Matthew or Matt? Right, Godfrey, who, for those of you who attended the civic service, Matt officiated there, and it was excellent. So it was a great joy to introduce you today. Thank you very much, Matt, Reverend.
I need to tell you that it's 9 months today until Christmas. Yes. The reason I mention that is not because I'm an avid Christmas watcher, that's my wife's domain, but because today the church marks the Feast of the Annunciation, sometimes formally called Lady Day, when we recall the visit of the angel Gabriel to Mary, a young Jewish woman from a very nondescript town, unlike our wonderful towns here in West Devon, in a very, very backwater province of the Roman Empire. Now, whatever your personal beliefs, I think there's something interesting in this story as we gather here in these chambers today. Mary was offered the chance to serve. She was offered the chance to do something. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, in a confirmation course, the mother of one of the candidates, who's a doctor, said to me, could she have chosen to say no? Well, that's a conversation for over a glass of wine or a pint of beer after the end of Lent. But to give you a spoiler alert, I think the answer is, of course she could. But she chose to say yes. She chose, you'll forgive me an Americanism, to step up to the plate. She chose to serve, despite the opprobrium and criticism that came her way as a result of that decision. Now, I did this story last week, as it happened, with the children of St. Bruman's School, who were thinking this term about one of their school values, which is the value of truthfulness. And so we did it from the angle of Mary's truthfulness, Joseph's reaction to that, and so forth. But somewhere in the middle of this, you have this young woman holding fast to the truth at tremendous personal cost. Now, I don't know what your experience of being counsellors is, but I can imagine that there is a cost for you, that this role that you fulfill on our behalf can sometimes come with a degree of opposition and, no doubt, criticism. So as you begin your deliberations this afternoon, on this great festal day for the church, I would just like to encourage you to hold fast to the truth. I know you have to weigh often competing truths. It seems that as we look round us at our world, we're in an era where, sadly, there seems to be a retreat into relativism. So I'd encourage you to hold fast to truth, to not let go of hope, and to please be assured of our ongoing prayers for you all as you serve in this way. It would be appropriate to say a short prayer at the end, Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you very much.
So I invite you, if you wish, to just bow your heads and I'll pray. Almighty God and Heavenly Father, we pray for this area of West Devon and for its people. And I pray now for the people whom you have gathered here in this place, those whom you have entrusted with the important business of ordering and guiding our common lives. As they begin the meeting this afternoon, grant them wisdom, insight, grant them the respect for one another to listen and to speak to one another in a way that allows us to go forwards with hope for the future. And may your blessing be upon them and be upon the people whom we serve. Amen.
Thank you very much. And Reverend Matt has been invited to stay, but unfortunately he's got another meeting to go to. So,
Can I just say, had I known I was going to be invited, I would have stayed, but I can't reorganise my diary.
No, not at all. And
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your moment of reflection. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, just before we begin, I'm not sure if everybody's got their nameplate put in front of them, so if they speak in the meeting, the camera hones in on who they are.
Who's missing? Yeah, wonderful. The A-team. Thank you, Kathy. You are wonderful. Right, are we all ready now? Then, Leader, do you want to have a look? Is everything all right for you? Thank you very much for that. Right, we will now open the meeting, the council meeting, the 25th of March 2025. And we start with agenda item 1, apologies. Have you apologies, please?
We've got a couple, thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, members. We've got apologies for this afternoon's meeting from Councillors Guthrie and Viney, and both are accessing the meeting via the Teams remote link. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Mayor, just to let you know that Councillor Saxby is en route. She's messaged to say that she's stuck in traffic.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Item 2, the confirmation of minutes. We've got one set of minutes, the council meeting of the 18th of February. So we need to approve that these are true and correct record for the meeting. May I have a show of hands to say that you agree that they're a true record, please?
Thank you, Mayor. That's clearly carried for approval of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, declaration of interest. Invite members to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests, including the nature and extent of such interests they may have in any item to be considered at this meeting. Has anybody anything to declare, please? Nope. Thank you. So item 4, communications from the Mayor. So it's at my discretion to bring forward any communications that I wish. At the end of the meeting, there will be the mayoral awards on the rising of this full council meeting, and then will be light refreshments after, and I hope many of you will be able to join. There was an absolutely fantastic selection of deserving people, and it was really difficult to choose it, so that'll be good. I'd also like to welcome Alderman Diana Moyse, who has been my consort, and she is an absolute brick. We put up with each other, and we've been in some interesting situations, but it is nice to see you, Diana, and welcome. Item 5, the business brought forward by the Mayor. There are no items brought forward to the meeting. Can I check again, please, Darryl?
That's correct. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 6, public questions. No public questions have been submitted to this meeting. Item 7, questions on notice. No questions on notice have been received from members. And then agenda item 8, the notice, motions on notice. There are no motions on notice received from members. Agenda item 9, committee minutes. Councillor Kimber, could you please present the minutes of the overview and scrutiny committee meeting the 11th of February, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee held on the 11th of February 2025 be received and noted. They are ONS 34/24 to ONS 42/24 and can be found between pages 11 and 15 of the published agenda papers. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Councillor Cunningham. Yep. Okay. Just for noting, everyone. Yep. Anyone? Yep. Welcome, Councillor Saxby. So I believe you got fouled up in some traffic. Wow, well, nice to see you. Agenda item 9B, the Development Management and Licensing Committee meeting, 12th of November 2024. Councillor Cheadle to present the minutes. There are no recommendations. Yep.
I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Development Management and Licensing Committee held on the 25th of February 2025 be received and noted. They are minutes DMNL 50 to DMNL 57 and can be found between pages 17 and 22. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
It's noted. I read committee meeting the 12th of November, so that's clearly a typo. Yes, so thank you very much. So you read the right one out. Thank you very much. You're just testing me. Item 6, the Hub Committee meeting of the 11th of March 2025. Councillor Ewings to present the minutes. There are 3 recommendations to Council relating to the Council Delivery Plan. Please put your phone off. Public Space Protection Order, alcohol, and month 10 revenue budget monitoring. Thank you, Councillor Ewings.
I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Hub Committee held on the 11th of March 2025 be received and noted, with the exception of minutes HC 7624, parts 2 and 3, the Council Delivery Plan, HC 7924, Public Spaces Protection Order, alcohol, and HC 8024, month 10 revenue budget monitoring report. They are minutes HC 7124 to HC 8224 and can be found between pages 23 and 27 of the published agenda papers. May I have a seconder, please?
Very happy to second.
And this is for purely noticing purposes. In respect of recommendation HC 7624, parts 2 and 3, I propose the following. That Council be recommended to 2. Adopt the delivery plan as set out at Appendix A of the agenda report presented to the Hub Committee meeting, and 3. Approve 507,000 of funding for the 2025-26 delivery plan from the revenue and capital reserves earmarked for the Council plan as set out in section 4.1 of the agenda report presented to the Hub Committee meeting. May I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
So we note that. Pardon?
No, we're not noting, Madam Mayor.
Sorry, questions and debate. Sorry, I'm any questions, members? So. Yeah, any debate? No. No. Right, so we just put it to the vote, please.
All in favour, members, please show.
Thank you.
That's unanimous for that recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. In respect of recommendation HC 8024, I propose the following. No, I've jumped a bit. In respect of HC 7924, I propose the following. The Council be recommended to approve the Tavistock and Oakhampton Alcohol Public Space Protection Order 2024 as set out at Appendix A of the presented agenda report, subject to the implementation date being updated at Section 1. May I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you.
So, questions? Yeah. Any questions? Anybody? Any comments? Questions? No questions. Any debate? Councillor Kimber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Space Protection Order on page 323 of the Hub Committee agenda, dated the 11th of March, says begging refers to behaviour that a reasonable person would regard as intimidating and which is designed to cause a member of the public to offer money to a person not known to them. On page 324, it describes the effects of the order. The effect of the order is to impose the following prohibitions and all requirements in the restricted areas at all times, not carry out begging. I'm very concerned about a prohibition on begging. I would hope that any reasonable person would find begging intimidating. In my opinion, begging is a public demonstration of failure in our communities, and it's upsetting and traumatic to see, and clearly far worse to experience. The definition in our Public Space Protection Order says, to cause a member of the public to offer money to a person not known to them. Surely this is the whole point of begging. A person is saying, I don't have any money, I don't have any food, please help me. I could probably be persuaded to support a prohibition on aggressive begging, including begging in a threatening or intimidating way, following people or begging near a cash machine or a bus stop. Liberty, a charity which challenges injustice, defends freedom, and campaigns to make sure everyone in the UK is treated with dignity and respect, says complex social issues like homelessness can't be solved by criminal punishment. It is counterproductive and cruel to hit homeless people with fines they can't possibly afford, and public space protection orders simply fast-track people into the criminal justice system. So I'm sorry, I can't support our public space protection order in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kimber. Are there any other comments? Thank you. So we've got Councillor Jane Elliott, and then Councillor Holly Greenbury-Pullen.
So this is my portfolio area, and if Councillor Greenbury-Pullen would like to go first, I'm very happy for her to make a comment before mine. That might be more appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that I also feel concern over the potential criminalisation of people that are begging for subsistence, and that's my input into the comment of the day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
Thank you very much. So I think it is worth just saying a couple of things in debate about this public space protection order. And in a way, it seems like a small addendum that the date has had to be changed on the agenda item. And just to explain to everybody, the reason that the date is being changed is because the Hub actually looked at this a couple of times and returned the report because we thought this was such an important item to get right. The main purpose of this public space protection order is to curb antisocial behaviour. And the reason that we delayed bringing it to Hub and delayed bringing it before Council was because we wanted to make sure that there was really good evidence behind this. There was a consultation last summer with members of the public done online and with lots of communications about it. And there's also been proper consultation with Oakhampton and with the Tavistock Town Council. We've also received information from the Office of the Police Commissioner saying that, yes, antisocial behaviour is a real priority for the public. So there is a real balance with these public space protection orders that we do not want to criminalise people, but equally we want to make sure that public spaces are there to be enjoyed by everybody and that nobody is intimidated by either begging or antisocial behaviour fuelled by alcohol. Now, the definition that was put in on begging was aggressive begging. And I remember many years ago being a victim of aggressive begging first thing in the morning in London when I was a commuter. And I certainly know the difference between begging and aggressive begging. And having spoken at length to Sergeant Tom Otley, who is our in charge of community police, he is very clear that the purpose of this PSPO is not to criminalise behaviour. Neither is it to stop people having a nice quiet drink in Meadowlands in Tavistock or in one of the green spaces in Oakhampton. So we do have to take this very seriously as a council. I do feel that we have now got a good deal of evidence within the report that came to Hub to say that antisocial behaviour is a problem and a potential problem in both Oakhampton and Tavistock. And I certainly am completely reassured that there is no intention to criminalise people who are quietly begging on the streets. Thankfully, we don't see too much of that in West Devon, but there is absolutely no intention of criminalising people. So I just wanted to say that as a little bit of context, and I do hope that colleagues will be able to vote through this recommendation because it was debated at Hub and Hub members have interrogated the evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to comment? Councillor Leach?
I will stand up. Oakhampton has had one of these orders for some years. We've got the evidence, so we need it again. But I do agree with what's being said about begging. If it's aggressive begging and it states just aggressive begging, then I'm fully behind it. But how do you actually define begging? How far do you go with begging? So is someone who's playing a violin somewhere in Red Line Yard with a hat down there to collect money, are they begging? So it's how you define it. So if we can have this defined directly for aggressive begging and nothing else, then I think we'd be happy.
Thank you, Councillor Leach. Anybody else? Leader, would you like to reply?
I'm happy to reply. As the portfolio holder has said, it is not about criminalising begging or anything else. But I'm sure Mrs. Proctor is here, our licensing officer, and if we were to add the word aggressive begging, would that satisfy Councillors Leach, Kimber and Greenbury-Pullen?
Councillor Greenbury-Pullen.
I fully agree with the prohibition order or the public space protection order. My concern is how it's managed and how it is seen by the enforcers of people who are begging. So, of course, aggressive begging is not acceptable and it would be threatening. I would agree with that, and that would not be appropriate. But I am concerned that we can define perhaps how we can safeguard people who are at the end of their wits, who are really struggling, and that there's a form of passive need which would be perceived as begging, of course, that needs to be just really well clarified so that there isn't a misinterpretation by people who are enforcing any decisions we make on this particular order.
Councillor Kimber?
I just wonder whether it's the right time to make changes, because the sentence I read out, which is aggressive begging, including begging in a threatening or intimidating way, following people or begging near a cash machine or bus stop, seems to have more context, and perhaps we need to take more time to think about it.
What was the last bit you said? Do we need more time to think about it, did you?
Yeah, I just wonder whether it's a good idea to make a decision in this meeting at this time to satisfy a few of us.
May I just ask the monitoring officer to comment, please?
I just wanted to reassure members that the whole purpose of these protection orders is not in a prohibitive way. The whole purpose is, as has been stated by some of the councillors, in order to give the police the powers to apprehend people who are causing antisocial behaviour in particular circumstances. It's a bit like the alcohol orders. They don't go abroad thinking, oh, look, there's somebody out there with alcohol. They don't automatically arrest people. It's only if they're causing public nuisance at the time. It's in order to enable our police force to deliver those powers if and when they need them, which I suspect will be very, very rarely, if at all, in this particular instance. Just gives you that safeguard. So it's not something I would necessarily think you need to be worrying about. But I don't know if, put you on the spot, if Mrs. Proctor had anything else to add to that.
Mrs. Proctor, would you like to just go nearer the microphone, please? And if, for those who don't know you, if you'd just like to just a quick introduction, please.
Yes, hello, Karen Proctor. I'm the principal.
Go a bit nearer to the microphone. Sorry.
Hello.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Karen Proctor. I'm the Principal Environmental Health and Licensing Officer for West Devon. It's absolutely correct. It's not about criminalising any individual. It's about keeping our public spaces safe for our community. The police are very much into engagement and compassion, and anybody that is vulnerable will be provided with the support and the safeguarding that is needed in the first instance. It's about supporting the individual. It's not about criminalising, and they will provide all the support that they can. The antisocial behaviour side of things, again, it's about engagement in the first instance, and it's only as and when and if they need to take things further, they have the ability to do it. They will, it's really not going out there arresting anybody in the first instance. They will try all of the engagement and advice they can in the first instance.
Thank you very much. Councillor Greenbury-Pullen, please. That'll be your last time, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. As I stated earlier, it's my concern is just about people who are passive in their approach to begging. I fully agree that any aggressive begging and interruption of people's right to enjoy a public space should be monitored and dutifully maintained. I just want absolute assurance that the people who are going to be enforcing this do understand that those individuals who are literally at the ends of their wits and have serious subsistence challenges are protected, and that's my only concern. Otherwise, I completely agree with the details that we've been given today. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Mayor. And I thank the licensing officer for her clarification. I too was concerned about this, and appreciate Councillor Kimber's comments earlier on. Just wanted to add one little thing that might help. So involved in a charity in the community that the police comes to when they meet people who are in need. So that community engagement does genuinely go on. But for me, if the word aggressive is added, I'd be happy to support the motion.
Right, I'm going to refer to the Chief Exec.
Thank you, Madam And thank you, members. So I think you've got a choice before you. You either take the order and with the addition to the recommendation and allow officers to review the document and make appropriate amendments accordingly, or as has been suggested by one member, we take it away and we bring it back, which would mean a deferral. So those are the two options available to you. Clearly the leader has proposed an amendment on that basis we leave it to the officers concerned to make the appropriate recommendations. So those are the two choices available to you, Madam Mayor.
Would council be happy if we add the word aggressive begging? Would you feel that that's robust enough, or do you want it to go back to officers? Given that there's been a lot of time spent on this already, listening to the portfolio holder, it's been spoken in depth, given that we've been given reassurance that people are supported. I know when I've been out with street pastors and that, I've been reassured about the holistic and kind approach that they take. So, members, I'll put it to the vote, can we have a show of hands, all those in favour of just adding the word aggressive begging as per the recommendation? Can somebody read that out for me? I need to go to Specsavers. Do you want to read it out?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm more than happy to read it out. Oh. Thank you. So through you, ma'am, I'm more than happy to read it out. So I've just come up with formal wording which I hope reflects the leader who proposed the original recommendations. Theme on this one, to add the words "and reference and clarification being made in the order to aggressive begging." Thank you.
As I seconded the original motion, I'm happy to second that. I think you need a seconder for that, do you not?
Can you put your mic a little bit nearer, your dulcet tones?
My dulcet tones, okay.
Yeah.
I said, as I was the original seconder, I'm more than happy to second that.
Thank you. And Councillor Kimber?
I just wonder whether I'm happy to delegate it to the officers to come up with a wording rather than us coming up with it on the fly. So I think I trust them to do that, but that's a different option.
Right, over to the Chief Executive.
So I think that's effectively what you're doing. You're making the point in council very clearly that references within the document need clarification in terms of it being aggressive begging rather than passive begging, which has been discussed. And I think you're precisely doing that. You're giving to your officers authority to make appropriate changes to the order to reflect that. You wanted to come in?
Yeah, Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Chair. I am also concerned about making policy here on the fly or moving things in a particular direction. And my concern would be that putting the word aggressive in, does that raise the bar too high? What is wrong with the wording that has been proposed, which is not stopping people from, if we want to use the term, passive begging or sitting quietly on the pavement and talking to passers-by? And I had a conversation with a young man in Tavistock just this afternoon who was doing just that. It's got the word intimidating in there, and intimidating is having a frightening, overawing or threatening effect to a reasonable person. I would have thought that was quite sufficient for the police then to take a decision as to whether they would move that person on or not.
For clarification then, Darryl, could you just describe what we are going to vote for, please?
So where we are at there is that the wording in red font, which I read out a couple of minutes ago, has been accepted by the proposer and seconder of the original motion, and that is therefore the substantive motion as presented. Thank you.
Okay. So could we have a show of hands, all those in favour of the substantive motion?
23 in favour. Thank you, Matt.
Those against? And those one against?
Two against. Thank you, Matt.
And abstentions?
With 2 abstentions. Thank you, Matt.
So that's carried. So we'll move on now. Yep. Thank you very much for that.
Can I suggest, Madam Mayor, that we, having made the textual amendments, we circulate a copy to all councillors so that you're informed of the changes that have been made and are satisfied as to their intent. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I think that was a very worthwhile debate on that, actually. Now, are we back to you, Leader, please, for the third part?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say about that item, this has taken nearly a year to get to this point, and to bring this up at the very last second is, I would say, inappropriate. Members should have been reading the paperwork as it's gone through. It's gone through many committees, and I'm really disappointed that people have suddenly done it today. They could have gone to the portfolio holder, Councillor Elliott. They could have spoken to Mrs. Proctor, Mr. Luscombe, or they could have come to me. There are many avenues that people could have gone round to save this debate today. The police have been struggling to get this order. There are crimes that have been committed in Oakhampton and Tavistock that would not have happened if this order was in place. And they started to put it in place nearly a year ago. It has been in place in Tavistock for the last 6 years, and it has been in place in Oakhampton for the last 3 years. All seemingly fine. Nobody has been done for begging. Nobody has been criminalised for antisocial drinking, particularly if they're young people. So, you know, it was just about putting this through quite simply when it's already been there for quite a number of years. But moving on. In respect of recommendation HC 8024, I propose the following. That Council be recommended to transfer a further £100,000, nearly got that wrong, of the current projected underspend surplus for 24-25 to the recovery plan and corporate strategy earmarked reserve for reinvestment back into the delivery of the council plan, in addition to the 300,000 previously approved by council minute 4824 refers. May I have a seconder, please?
Again, happy to second.
Thank you. Are there any questions, members? Is there any discussion? So we'll put that to the vote, please. All those in favour?
That's unanimous for that recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader. So we now move on to item 10, the 2025-26 capital strategy. And may I ask Councillor Edmonds to introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The strategies in front of you today, members, are presented annually to the Council for approval and are procedural reports. They outline the Council's capital and borrowing limits and provide recommendations for where the Council will invest its money on an annual basis. The capital strategy sets out projected capital plans and the capital financing requirement, which is the measure of the Council's underlying need to borrow for the capital programme, at a maximum of 23.7 million for 2025-26. As of the end of January 2025, the Council's current level of external borrowing was £26.6 million. There is a small overborrowing position, but this will be adjusted with a proposed investment into the Council's waste infrastructure. It is proposed that the authorised limit for external debt remains at 50 million. The operational boundary limit beyond which external debt is not normally expected to exceed, is proposed to remain at 35 million. The strategy in Appendix B also sets out the minimum revenue provision, or MRP, policy statement. The MRP is the capital repayment of any borrowing and is charged to the revenue budget over the asset's life. The Council's policy on Treasury investments is to prioritise security and liquidity over yield. It proposes to continue investing its money in UK banks and building societies, money market funds, and with HM Treasury. External Treasury and management training was arranged for all members on the 4th of March, where the key points of the annual strategies were discussed. The 3 strategies were considered and scrutinised by the Audit and Governance Committee at their meeting on the 11th of March, and the strategies were recommended to Council as set out in the appendices to this report. And finally, Madam Mayor, the report recommendations. The first is that the Council approves the strategies. Secondly, that delegated authority be given to the Section 151 officer in consultation with the leader of the Council and the Hub Committee member for resources to make any minor amendments to these strategies, if required, throughout the next financial year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Edmonds. Are there any questions, members? Councillor Vachon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, one question relating to the Appendix A, page 36, 2.4 housing project. The Better Care funding. The last sentence in that says the Better Care funding is passported from the DCC to South Hams District Council to administer the scheme. Is that correct?
Yes, Lisa Buckle. Yeah, I don't.
That should say West Devon, Councillor Vachon. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
You do. That's very good. Yes. Are there any other questions, please? No? Right, so we've got the recommendations. Do we have a proposer and seconder, please? Who's going to propose them? We've got.
Would you like me to move the recommendations,
Please.
Madam Mayor? Yeah. So I move the 2 recommendations I referred to a few moments ago, which are now shown on the screen.
And have we a seconder, please? Oh, thank you, Leader. Quietly sitting in the corner there. So have we got a debate? Any debate? Or oh, sorry, Councillor Daniels, I can't see you.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much to the officers for arranging the Treasury Management training, which I found really informative and interesting, and really enlightening about our financial situation. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's always quite fascinating, isn't it? So we've got the proposer, yeah, and we've got seconded. Yep. So are there any discussions or any amendments? No. So I think we can just go to the vote then, please, everyone. So all those in favour of we'll take them on block.
That's unanimous for all those recommendations on the screens. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We now go to agenda item 11, the pay policy statement. And again, the SUE leader, so Councillor Ewings, to introduce the report, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This is the annual pay policy statement that we have a statutory duty to consider and approve each year. We have to report on the pay ratio between the head of paid service and the lowest paid member of staff, and the mean earnings of staff. The The report is showing a slight narrowing of the pay differentials compared to last year. This is a positive and is well below the threshold set by central government of 10%. The recommendations are on the screen, and that's enough unless Mr. Wilson thinks I've left anything out. Have I left anything out, Andy?
So are there any questions, members? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we look at page 87, 3.6, it's talking about the gender pay gap of employees here at West Devon Borough Council, which has to, a report has to be published by the 4th of April. I see it's going to be put on the council's website. I wonder if members could be emailed with a link to that report, because I'd certainly be interested to read it, please.
That's possible, officers, please. Yep, that was good. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? I'll look at... Right. No more questions. Is there any debate? Oh, sorry, could you propose it, please?
So I propose the recommendations as outlined on the screen. I just need a seconder, please.
Happy to second.
That's unanimous for both recommendations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 11, the calendar of meetings, which Councillor Ewing's over to you again, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This paper quite clearly is as we see it, and we have the calendar set out for the meetings for the next municipal year, starting May 25 for May 26, and that's presented at Appendix A. There's timings on there, dates, etc. It's all right, I misread something there. I thought we were saying a meeting started at 11 p.m. It was the 11th of the month in the afternoon. Sorry. And to note the revised political composition of the council as set out in paragraph 2.2 below, following the resignation from the Borough Council of Ursula. Can I just ask a question myself, please?
You may indeed.
These dates, they all go through to our Outlook diaries, do they? So for everybody, not just lazy-itis here.
At the moment, they don't. They tend to be committee member driven. But having said that, we often ask members if they do wish to receive all, we can make that an option as well. So, if, for example, you're a member of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee and you want to receive all the hub committee dates, we can ensure they're forwarded to you. But by default, they tend to go to the committee members only.
Would members find it helpful if they went to everybody, all dates?
Yes.
So we all know how busy our Tuesday could be, and we can attend other meetings if we so choose. So I think you got a bit of a yes to that, Darryl, so that would be really appreciated. I'm happy to move the recommendations. Mark?
Happy to second. Sorry.
Is there any debate about this, Councillor Cheadle?
I just wondered if, looking at the council dates, is there any significance in the ones in green?
Through you, Mayor, they are L&D. I think I've wanted to pad this meeting out a little bit, so we weren't late for the or weren't early for the mayoral awards. So L&D, of course, stands for learning and development. So what we've tried to do on there is we've tried to, in effect, look at any available or free, in inverted commas, half-day sessions where there aren't formal committee meetings, which we could take up for learning and development sessions. Those in green could, if the dates are agreed today, coincide with hub committee member briefings. So they would need to be sessions for non-hub committee members. So, for example, on code of conduct complaints. So the green ones would be centric to non-hub committee members.
I've actually got a question because I don't know what 28 p.m. means. Per month, each month. Oh, right. Oh, right, okay. Thank you. So is there any more debate? No? So should we put this to the vote? And the recommendations are up there. We'll take those en masse as well, please.
Thank you, members. That's unanimous for both recommendations. Thank you very much.
That's great. So I now declare that this meeting is closed, and I would just ask members if you'd like to stay for the Mayor Awards, because there's so many wonderful people in the community that deserve these awards and your appreciation. Is Kathy around? She'll be with them. So now I'm going to get changed because I've been advised to wear my formal gear. So I'm just thinking that Councillor Vachon is going to look a lot better in the Mayor's robe. I think I look like something out of Star Wars. Well, I do because I'm only little. So I'm just going to get changed, so we'll just chat among yourselves, all right? So I now declare the meeting over, and thank you very much for the good debate.